Hello everyone, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, then subscribe to this channel, like and share. Rise and fall of an Iraqi despot. Saddam Hussein, brought into the world on April 28, 1937, in Al-Ajah, close to Tikrit, Iraq, was a conspicuous and dubious figure whose standards significantly molded Iraq and had critical repercussions in the Center East and then some. His administration was set apart by ruthless constraint, aggressive modernization projects, and forceful international strategies that finished in obliterating wars and his possible ruin. Early life and political, Saddam Hussein was naturally introduced to a worker family in a little town, confronting a difficult youth. His dad vanished before he was conceived, and his mom remarried, passing on him to be raised by an uncle, Karal Talfa, who was an intense Bedouin patriot and hostile to English. These early impacts profoundly molded Saddam's political philosophy and aspirations. In 1957, at 20 years old, Saddam joined the Biography party, a political development pushing for Bedouin solidarity in communism. His contribution in the 1959 death endeavor on Iraqi state head Abdul Karim Qasim denoted his initial section into savage political activism. The bombed endeavor constrained Saddam far away, banished in shame in Egypt, where he proceeded with his schooling and political exercises. The Biography party held on to power in Iraq in 1963, yet inside hardship and outside pressures prompted a time of flimsiness. By 1968, Saddam assumed a key part in the bloodless upset that took the Biography party back to control, with Ahmed Hassan al-Bakr as president. As VP under al-Bakr, Saddam combined power by building a considerable security contraption, taking out opponents, and situating himself as the genuine power behind the administration. Combination of force, Saddam Hussein formally became leader of Iraq on July 16, 1979, after al-Bakr surrendered under tension. His administration started with a severe cleanse of party authorities, including the execution of seen tricksters, hardening his command over the Biography party and the Iraqi state. This savage solidification of force was a sign of Saddam's standard, guaranteeing that contradiction and resistance were met with serious restraint. Saddam's system utilized broad reconnaissance, inconsistent captures, torment, and executions to keep up with control. The mystery police, knowledge organizations, and paramilitary gatherings assumed vital parts in smothering any dangers to his position. Dread and dependability were upheld through a mix of support and terrorizing. Social projects. In spite of his merciless strategies, Saddam additionally sought after critical financial and social modernization projects. Using Iraq's immense oil abundance, his administration put resources into foundation, training, medical services, and industrialization. These endeavors expected to modernize Iraq and lessen reliance on unfamiliar innovations and skill. Significant tasks incorporated the development of streets, schools, emergency clinics, and the foundation of a far-reaching social government assistance framework. Saddam's system likewise elevated ladies' freedoms somewhat, uplifting their cooperation in training in the labor force. In any case, these progressions were many times eclipsed by the system's harsh nature and focusing on dedication over competence propensity. Iran-Iraq War, 1980 to 1988. One of the most huge and destroying times of Saddam's standard was the Iran-Iraq War. In September 1980, Saddam sent off an unexpected intrusion of Iran, spurred by regional questions, the craving to debilitate the recently settled Islamic Republic, and fears of Shia turmoil in Iraq enlivened by the Iranian upheaval. The conflict immediately decayed into a ruthless and extended struggle, described by close-quarters conflict, substance weapons use, and huge non-military personnel losses. The Iran-Iraq War endured 8 years, bringing about a huge number of passings and colossal monetary and infrastructural harm to the two nations. Iraq couldn't accomplish an unequivocal triumph, and the conflict finished in an impasse with no unmistakable victor. The contention depleted Iraq's assets, leaving the country intensely debilitated and financially debilitated. Worldwide detachment. Saddam Hussein's forceful international strategy went on with the intrusion of Kuwait on August 2, 1990. Propelled by monetary franticness and regional desires, the extension of Kuwait set off a huge worldwide reaction. The unified countries censured the intrusion, and the UDAS drove alliance sent off activity Desert Tempest in January 1991, freeing Kuwait in a quick and unequivocal military mission. The loss in the Bay conflict left Iraq financially crushed and politically confined. The global local area forced serious financial authorizations on Iraq, pointed toward constraining Saddam to incapacitate and conform to UN goals. The approvals devastatingly affected the Iraqi populace, prompting broad affliction and compassionate emergencies, while Saddam's system remained solidly in charge. Constraint and denials of basic freedoms, all through his standard, Saddam Hussein's system was liable for far-reaching denials of basic freedoms and monstrosities. The Anfal lobby against the Kurdish populace in the last part of the 1980s, which incorporated the utilization of synthetic weapons, brought about huge number of passings and gigantic relocation. The system's ruthless crackdown on Shia uprisings in southern Iraq following the Bay conflict additionally featured its readiness to utilize outrageous viciousness to keep up with power. Saddam's administration likewise designated political adversaries, dissenters, and minority gatherings, utilizing torment, extrajudicial killings, and authorized vanishings. The system's abusive strategies made an environment of dread and doubt, with witnesses and mystery police invading all degrees of society. Destruction and execution. The last section of Saddam Hussein's standard started with the U.S. drove attack of Iraq in 2003. Referring to claims of weapons of mass obliteration and connections to illegal intimidation, the alliance powers sent off activity Iraqi Opportunity on Walk 20, 2003. The fast military mission brought about the fall of Baghdad on April 9, 2003, and the breakdown of Saddam's system. Saddam Hussein self-isolated yet was caught by U.S. powers on December 13, 2003. His catch denoted the conclusion of a significant time period of ruthless tyranny in Iraq. Saddam was placed being investigated by the Iraqi Extraordinary Council for wrongdoings against mankind, remembering the killing of 148 Shia Muslims for the town of Dajjal in 1982. To death by hanging. His execution was completed on December 30, 2006. The preliminary and execution of Saddam Hussein were dubious, with banters over the reasonableness of the preliminary and the ramifications for post-intrusion Iraq. Inheritance and effect. Saddam Hussein's inheritance is intricate and profoundly questionable. To some, he is recognized as a despot whose merciless rule carried enormous enduring to the Iraqi public and weakened the district. His forceful strategies, denials of basic freedoms, and disastrous conflicts resulted in a tradition of obliteration and injury. In any case, a few Iraqis recall Saddam's period with a level of sentimentality, especially considering the disarray and shakiness that followed his expulsion from power. The resulting partisan viciousness, ascent of radical gatherings, and continuous political battles in Iraq have driven some to see his standard as a time of relative steadiness and request, regardless of its mercilessness. Saddam Hussein's effect reaches out past Iraq, affecting provincial elements and worldwide international affairs. His showdowns with the West, especially the U.S., molded a significant part of the political talk in the Center East for a really long time. The outcomes of his standard and the resulting U.S. intrusion keep on resonating, influencing Iraq's way toward a majority rules government, soundness, and reproduction. Conclusion. Saddam Hussein's life and rule represent the intricacies of force, aspiration, and fierceness. From his initial ascent inside the Ba'ath Party to his foundation of a domineering system, Saddam's administration was set apart by the two endeavors at modernization and boundless persecution. His forceful international strategies prompted decimating battles, while his inside restraint left a tradition of dread and languishing. The ruin of Saddam Hussein stopped a dull part in Iraqi history yet additionally released new difficulties and clashes. His inheritance fills in as an unmistakable sign of the hazards of outright power and the getting-through effect of dictator rule on a country's kin and its future. The ruin of Saddam Hussein denoted an essential second for Iraq as well as for the whole Center East. It highlighted the unpredictability of authoritarian systems and the significant outcomes of their breakdown. The power vacuum left right after Saddam's expulsion set up for quite a long time of insecurity and struggle. As different groups competed for control and radical gatherings, most outstandingly ISIS, profited by the disarray to lay out their own traction. For the global local area, the outcome of Saddam's system has been a sobering illustration in the intricacies of country building and mediation. The U.S. drove attack, at first legitimate by the need to dispense with weapons of mass annihilation that were rarely found, has started broad discussion about the morals and adequacy of such mediations. Thank you for watching.